Senate Judiciary Chair Lindsey Graham today inviting Rudy Giuliani to testify before his committee. Graham wants to give Giuliani the chance to detail his allegations of corruption in the Ukraine and to discuss the former vice president and his son Hunter. Graham writing on Twitter, "Unlike the House of Representatives, I'm tired of only hearing one side of the story. It's now time to give voice to everything Ukraine. Let the chips fall where they may." And a new Quinnipiac poll tonight shows Senator Elizabeth Warren virtually tied with Joe Biden in the Dems' 2020 primary race. Warren has the support of 29% of voters, Biden 26%, and coming up third, Senator Bernie Sanders and the rest of the field running well behind. The margin of error, 3.1%, by the way, in this poll. The same poll also with great news for the president. 49% of voters say the president should not be impeached or removed from office. That's more than the 45% who say he should be. Well, amongst Republicans, 94% say this president should not be impeached. Independents swing in the president's favor as well, 47 to 43. As for Democrats, well, a different situation altogether. As we might suspect, 85% say the president should be removed from office. Extraordinary. Joining us tonight, former Reagan White House political director, Fox Business political analyst Ed Rollins, New York Post, Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist, Fox Business contributor Michael Goodwin. And gentlemen, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Let me start, Ed, with you. The polling, I don't know how to judge it. You tell us.
Well, in spite of the fact that 2 or 3 weeks of being bashed and smashed, including the 2 years before that, the president still has the support of most of the country. As I've said over and over again, we shouldn't live and die by the polls because there are 3 or 4 other polls out here today that say something different. It's about momentum, though, and I think the president is holding his own in this battle. The key thing here is it's just got to understand it's a long battle, and they got to keep fighting back every day.
The Cipollone letter to House Speaker Pelosi, Michael. I mean, as Harmeet Dillon said, this White House now is fighting. It understands clearly that this is a fraudulent attack on the President of the United States, orchestrated in every detail to this point. Your thoughts?
Well, look, it's good to see somebody other than the president fighting. I mean, the president fights this every day in every way he can, but you need a more organized, broader approach. In addition to this letter, there are now a number of Republicans in Congress calling for Schiff to be removed. At last count I saw was only 91. They have nearly 200 members, so I'm not sure why the others haven't stepped up. You have the Lindsey Graham wanting to use the Senate Judiciary Committee.
By the way, he's been promising he would investigate this since he took over as chair of the Judiciary Committee, 9 months ago? I mean, where has he been?
Well, and if this is going to be just a purely partisan fight, then Republicans have to use the power they have in Congress, which is the Senate.
Should it be difficult to discern that this is a partisan battle? And purely so?
Not to me, not to you, not to Ed, but apparently things move slowly in Washington.
Well, they're stuck in the mud of that swamp is the problem.
The good news is they've been gone for 2.5 weeks. They're all back next week, and obviously there'll be a lot of activity. But I do think
you always have something to cheer us up with.
No, well, I'm just trying to be the reality check.
Here they come.
I mean, the reality check. They are coming back, and they're going to come back, and they're going to be fired up. The key thing here, I mean, if I was the White House...
It's great, by the way, to see Congressman Mark Meadows. I mean, he's roaring.
He's fighting. He's fighting.
He's standing up for this president. And also Jim Jordan doing a great job.
They're great battlers. But you know, we still have. They all should be battling because the Democrats are all going to be
and
in the
Andy Biggs, no. Speaking of being slow, I must be mired a little. Swamp mud.
It's a 3-second delay.
And I think
don't pile on. Okay.
I think eventually, if the White House does not cooperate, which is the best strategy of all, and the members should not cooperate. I mean, being perfectly honest, if I had anything to do with the leadership of the House Republicans, I wouldn't even show up for these hearings. I'd say, you guys want to have the kangaroo court?
Well, that's what they're doing.
Have at
it. I mean,
it.
And to their credit, I mean, and the letter, Cipollone's letter, I mean, it lays it straight out. You're invalid, illegitimate, and the hell with you. It's just so nice to see the president stand up here and tell them exactly where they stand.
Yeah. Well, look, as I said, it's going to be a long slog. It's going to change. The polls are going to change every day on this.
You say that. But, I'm not so sure it will be Because I really, and let me just play devil's advocate here just for a bit, an unaccustomed role for me. I just really believe that the American people are smart enough to see what is being pulled in Washington. I mean, this is amateurish by any standard, what the Democrats are doing. Orchestrating CIA officers to suddenly bubble up from the swamp and be ready to talk hearsay with a coordinated effort to change the rules of the complaint form and the complaint itself by the whistleblower. And by the way, why isn't anyone talking about the 8 whistleblowers who were prosecuted by President Obama more than every president before him, and the little darlings of the left-wing media? Oh, my goodness, he's being so tough on these whistleblowers, actually wanting to know who the hell would accuse him so that he can stand up and defend himself, and the public's right to know suddenly isn't important to these little darlings of the left.
Well, I'm not as confident as you are in the country now in terms of how all this will be received.
Their intelligence,
how this will all be received. I think it's such a polarized country.
See, I'm a populist. I believe in the people.
No, I generally do too, but I think right now this country is so divided and there is so much hatred for this president that if they can keep the media on their side, they will have a megaphone every day.
Well, they're going to keep the media on their side.
That's going to happen. What has to happen is the members of Congress who support this president and the people who support this president need to write to Congress, get on the phone, jam it up, and basically tell them, knock this crap off. That's the only way they're going to pay any attention to it.
Last question. Where has Lindsey Graham been? Chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, and he hasn't taken step one to do anything with that committee to investigate as the radical Dems of the House, hold sway over the entire narrative.
Well, hopefully he says continues to say what he's saying when all the other members come back next week. Again, he's sitting there by himself at this time, but. I think if Giuliani wants to testify, he should be given that opportunity and certainly be able to tell the stories. So
the way Lindsey Graham rescued the Kavanaugh hearing, I'm willing to give him a little time on this one. I think what he did there was heroic work.
Yes, it was.
That nomination would have been sunk without him. So I'll be patient with him this time.
And looking back on that Kavanaugh,
patient? You really think it's a matter of patience? This is 9 months. He hasn't done anything.
Well, I thought you were specifically on this issue, though.
I'm talking about the chairman of the Judiciary Committee hasn't done anything. That's not patience. I mean,
I was just talking about.
It's going AWOL.
I was talking about impeachment.
Yeah.
Right. Impeachment's the topic.
I'm sorry?
Impeachment is the topic. Will be for the next several weeks.
You remember what I said to both of you today? Piling on. The poor defenseless host of this show.
It's a fair fight.
It's a fair fight, 2-1.
Gosh.
Fair.
2-1. 2-1. Rollins and Michael Goodwin, I thank you nonetheless.
Thank you.